Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. My name is Uche. On today's video I'm going to be teaching you how to make this beautiful 3 layers baby dress. Okay, so this is what you will love to learn. Keep on watching, and at the end of the video you find it helpful, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like, share and comment. Okay, so I actually make this dress for a baby of 3 years old. All the measurement I use is for a 3 years old baby girl. Okay, so without wasting much of your time, let us get right into the video. So I made this dress with less than 2 yards of Ankara fabric. Okay, and also I will be making use of this doll face as my lining piece, and you will also need a bias tape. Okay, so I have a bias tape and also my chalk to mark it out. So I'm gonna head to fold my fabric into 2. So if you notice, I fold both the front and the back at once. So I'm going to be cutting the both at once, as you can see. So I'm gonna head to draw out a starting line, and I will divide our shoulder measurement into 5 inches. I will mark a neck width of 2.5 inches, and I'll come down by 2.5 inches as well. Okay, and I came down by 1 inch for the back. I will extend it to the back base like so, and also curve out the front neckline, as you can see. So from here I marked the shoulder measurement, and I'm going to come down by 1/4 inch just to slope the shoulder. As you can see me doing like this, I connected it to the neckline, and from that shoulder slope I will come down to her chest line 4.5 inches. I'll go ahead to rule out a line. So on that line I also marked out half of our shoulder measurement in order to get a straight line, as you can see what I did right there. So I'm going to find the midpoint of what I have from the shoulder slope to the chest line. I will go in by 1/4 inch. So on the chest line I'm going to divide her round chest circumference by 4. Her round chest circumference is 22 inches. Divided by 4 gave me 5.5 inches. So I'll go ahead to mark it on the chest line. I'll add a stitching allowance of 1.5 inches. Okay, and then I'll go ahead to curve it into the chest line like so. So because this is a sleeveless dress, I decided not to make use of this curve armhole like so. So I decided to leave it. I'm going to be making it a straight armhole, so I'm going to be following this shape. Don't worry, you will see what I will do later. Okay, so if you want to follow the curve, you can go ahead and do that. And after that I'm going to mark her half length. So I'm using 9 inches as her half length, but because we are cutting directly on the fabric, I will add 1/2 inch for joining it with the down part, and I will go ahead to connect it into a straight line. Okay, and after that I will also go ahead to divide her round waist measurement into 2. So her round waist measurement is 20 divided into 4 gave me 5 inches. I went ahead to mark it, and then I will add my stitching allowance. Okay, I went ahead to connect it like so. So after that I will go up by 1/2 inch. So this is totally optional. From the side I will go up by 1/2 inch. Okay, and I'll go ahead to connect it to the center of the folded fabric, as you can see. And after that I will go ahead to add my stitching allowance on the shoulder area, on the armhole. So what I'm doing on the armhole, I made it straight, not too curvy. So for the zipper allowance I left about 1.5 inches, and I went in by 1/2 inch to reduce zipper bulge on the back of the dress, and I connected it to the neckline like so. So guys, that is basically all for that. I'll go ahead to cut it out. So I forgot to add stitching allowance on the back neckline, so do well to add yours when you're cutting it out. Please don't do like me. And after that I will cut out all the pieces like so, and then I'll cut through the shoulder. So I will separate the front from the back. I'll also cut out the 1/2 inch I went in by on the zipper allowance area. Okay, and then I'll keep the back pieces aside. I'll also go ahead to cut the front neckline, making sure I leave ½ inch for stitching the neck area. So this is what we have for both the front and the back. I'll make sure I place it on my lining piece to cut it out. So let's cut the down part. Okay, so for the down part, I'll go ahead to fold my lining piece in a triangular form, as you can see me doing, and I will go ahead to fold it into 4 again. So we are going to cut out a 180-degree flare. Okay, so I folded it into 4, and her round waist measurement is divided by 4 is 5 inches, like I said earlier, plus my zipper allowance of 1.5 inches. Okay, so I'll place my tape like so to get what I want. So to get what I want, and after that, after getting it, I'm going to place my tape like so and mark all round. So watch what I'm doing. Place my tape on the upper part to mark all round in order to get that flare waistline. Okay, and after that, I measured it to check if it is enough for me. So what I have is 6 inches. It is okay for me. So guys, for this dress, the down part is supposed to be 15 inches. Okay, the down part of this dress is supposed to be 15 inches, but on the lining piece, I'm going to be marking out 10 inches. We are going to use the main fabric to complete it to 15 inches. So I went ahead to mark 10 inches as the length of the down part on the lining, and after that, I'll go ahead to cut it out. Okay, this is what I have. This is what I have. This is a half flare. So what I'm going to do next is to mark the midpoint. So this is 10 inches by length. Okay, so I'm going to mark the midpoint of this 10 inches, which is 5 inches. So I'll mark it all around on the midpoint. I'll mark it all around to the end, and after marking it, I'll go ahead to connect it like so. So you're going to be placing the first layer on the directly on the waistline. The second layer is going to be on this midpoint, then the last layer is going to be on the down part, and it is going to complete the total length of the down part. This is the first layer, which is going to be on the waist area. So I multiplied what I have on the waist area by 2, and I use it to cut out the wideness. Okay, so if you want yours to be fuller, just like as it is on the picture, cut yours in a flare form. Okay, make sure you cut yours in a flare form. Because my fabric was not enough, I cut mine in a straight form, and the length of each of the pieces is 6 inches. Okay, so the length is 6 inches. It is going to overlap each other by about 1 inch. Okay, as you can see, so this is the second layer. I measured what I have on that midpoint. I measured what I have on the place I marked my chalk, and I multiplied it by 2 as well, and each of them are 6 inches by length. Okay, so we'll go ahead to keep it aside so that we can start joining our fabric. So I will bring the upper part and I will open it up. So this is the front piece. I'm going to place the lining piece on it, right side facing right side, and I'm going to go ahead to mark ½ inch on the neck area. So I'll be stitching the neck area by ½ inch, only the neck area. And for the back as well, I'll place the lining piece on each of them, and I'll also stitch the neck area by just ½ inch, only the neckline as well. I'll keep it aside. And for the down part, I'm going to use my bias to conceal the down part of each of the layer. Okay, this is the wrong side of my fabric, and this is the other side is the right side. So you're going to be stitching it from the wrong side. So we'll make the first stitch on the wrong side, then we will turn it over to the right side, and then I'll also top stitch on top of it, and I'll repeat this on all the layers. So guys, after turning all the neckline. This is what it is looking like. I went ahead to iron it, so you can see how neat it is looking. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to join them on the shoulder area. Okay, so I'm going to open up the shoulder area so that we can join it right side facing right side. So I will open up the back and I will also open up the front shoulder. I will join it fabric to fabric and lining to lining. I will go ahead to pin it down, and after that I will go ahead to stitch it by 1/2 inch, and I will also repeat the same thing on the other side. So this is what it should be looking like after stitching it. I will repeat the same thing for the other side. I will open it up like so. I will open the back shoulder as well. I will go ahead and sew it. So for the down part, I'm gonna have to conceal each of the layers. As you can see, I'm gonna have to conceal it with my bias, and you can see how it is looking like. So I also went ahead to run a gather stitch on top of it. I'm going to go ahead to gather it to the end. So just pick up the thread. I just basically made a loose stitch and I'll gather it up to the amount of what I have. So after that, this is what I have for the upper part after joining my shoulder areas, and this is what it looks like. So I'm going to cover the armhole. I'm going to be stitching on the armhole as well. So you open up your fabric like so, open up the lining and the main fabric. So let's go ahead to do it again. So open up, separate the lining from the fabric like so, then flip the other side inside like you can see me doing, and then match the two shoulders together, lining piece and main fabric, as you can see me doing on the screen. And then I will go ahead to use my pin to hold it down so that we can understand what is going on the video. So this is to give it a neat finishing. Okay, I'll go ahead to cut out that excess lining piece I have on that end. So after that, I will go ahead to stitch it by 1/2 inch. Go ahead to stitch it by 1/2 inch. So after stitching it, I went ahead to trim out a little bit of the stitching allowance so that it will not be bulky on the inside. So this is what it looks like from the right side. You can see how neat it is looking like. And for the other side as well, I will separate the lining piece from the main fabric. I will also put the other side of the armhole inside. I will go ahead to cover it like so. So making sure that the shoulder areas of the lining and the main fabric is aligning. Then I will pin it down. After pinning it down, I will also go over to my sewing machine. I will stitch it by 1/2 inch. So I will do all that, and I'll also close the zipper allowance area and the sides by 1/2 inch. I will do all that. So guys, I'm gonna head to finish up the armhole, and I also stitch in the sides by 1/2 inch. So the next thing is to stitch the zipper area together. So guys, after that, I'm also gonna head to gather all the pieces, all the layers, as you can see. So this is the first layer. I've placed it on the waistline. The second layer is going to be on that midpoint, and the third layer is going to be on the down part. So I will go ahead to stitch it. And for the upper part, before I close the side, I went ahead to cut out a rope that is going to use to fasten the waist area. So go up by 1/2 inch before you place the rope. Okay, go up by 1/2 inch before you place your rope, so that you will see allowance to stitch the upper part and the down part together. And after that, I will close the sides. So I will keep it aside. So I also remembered I've not given it the design, the bias design that is on the main picture. So if you check the main picture, you will see that there is a bias design that was given to the upper part. So as for me, I prefer it plain, but because this is a tutorial, I'm going to be following everything on the main picture. So I place the first one on the midpoint, as you can see, and then this other one I will place it on the armhole like so. I will stitch it. I will also place it on the second armhole, and I will also place it on the neck area. So guys, after that, this is what I have for the down part. You can see how beautiful and neat it is looking like already. So like I said earlier, if you want yours to be standing and more fuller, go ahead and cut it in a fillet form. Okay, and this is what it looks like. So I'll keep it aside. So for the upper part as well, I've gone ahead to sew all the designs, all the bias designs on it, and this is what it looks like as well. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to join the upper part and the down part together. So I'm going to place them right side facing right side. I will join it together. So one thing you will notice that there is excess on the down part. What I will do is to gather it to the waist area, and after that, after joining it, the next thing I'm going to do is to close the sides. So I want all these layers to be separate. I don't want to join all of them together. I want it to be separate. So what I will do is to pick up the down part, which is the last layer, like so. I'll go ahead to pin it. So I will stitch it from the last layer up to where the second layer stops, and after stitching it, this is what it looks like. Okay, so you can see I stitch it from the last layer up to where the second layer stops. Okay, so this is what it looks like, you can see. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead to stitch the second layer differently. So I'm not attaching each of them on the lining, I'm stitching it differently. So I'm going to flip the upper part inside so that it will give me space to stitch it. I'll go ahead to flip the upper part inside, and then I'll align it right side facing right side. I'll go ahead to stitch it as well. So remember, we are only stitching on the main fabric, not on the lining. Okay, and after stitching it, I'll go ahead to do that. After stitching it, this is what it looks like. So you can see that each of them are standing separately. So this is what I want. Okay, I want it to stand separately. I don't want everything to be joined together, and you can see that everything is aligning. So this is it. So for the last layer, because it's closer to the waistline, I'm going to be stitching it together with the lining. So what I'm going to do is to close it and go ahead to stitch my zipper on the back area. So I'll flip it to the wrong side. After turning it to the wrong side, on the waist area, I will come down by 3 inches. I'll come down by 3 inches, then I will stitch the rest to the down part, and then I'll fix my zipper. So after fixing my zipper, this is what the dress is looking like. You can see how beautiful it is looking like. I actually fixed an invisible zipper. So guys, at this point, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please kindly do that till we see on the next one.